All right, so I came up with this idea of doing trades because the thing that everybody's talking about is the Kyrie Irving. Where is he going? I decided, he only has 4 teams he want to go to: Miami, Minnesota, San Antonio, and New York. But I just thought, how fun would it be? Because everybody's gonna, want to see, hey, is he has a chance to come here? I thought it'd be fun to see the trade possibilities for all the other teams, like every other team in the NBA. Now, of course, most of these ain't gonna happen, and I know that. But is it fun to explore? And I got an explanation for all of them. Let's start in the East, shall we? Atlanta will have to give up Dennis Schroeder, and another attractive piece will be John Collins. Now, just a disclaimer: any rookie in the trade, they cannot be traded until between August 4th and August 6th. So the trade can't go down until, I think it said 30 days after they were drafted or signed, or however that goes. Dennis Schroeder sounds like an attractive piece. Stays in his own lane, very solid. And of course, John Collins, very athletic guy, which allows you to trade Tristan Thompson, who also has a attractive contract elsewhere. Boston, this is very interesting and probably won't happen, but it's fun, right? Isaiah Thomas, Al Horford for Kyrie and Tristan Thompson. Now you ask yourself, why the fuck would they want to pay $27 million to Al Horford? Al Horford is a guy that you will never have to question. You'll never have to question what he's going to bring. He's going to bring it every single game. Tristan Thompson, he disappears here and there. Now, of course, for Boston, they save money at their center position, power forward position. They got control over Tristan for a few more years. Isaiah Thomas, they probably don't know how much he's going to want. They got Kyrie for a few more years. Boom. And they get rid of the Horford contract. You feel me? So, hey, if you look at it that way, they won. Brooklyn, Allen Crabbe and D'Angelo Russell. I think Crabbe was just pretty much like the guy who makes the money work. But D'Angelo Russell, you got to bring back some flash with flash. You feel me? And I think, just him being around LeBron will bring out the best in him. I think so. And of course, Brooklyn's going to bring out buku, whatever draft picks they have left, because it seems like Boston done took them all. So you're probably looking at a 2030 first round pick. You know what I'm saying? But Brooklyn's going to give up a couple first round picks for that deal. Charlotte, which is very interesting. I think this is, out of all the ones that's like unlikely, this will be the most likely, if that makes sense. Charlotte, Kemba Walker, Nicholas Batum, Jeremy Lamb. Jeremy Lamb is the one that makes the money work. And a first round pick for Kyrie and Kevin Love. Like, I feel like, a lot of these deals, you're going to see a point guard for a point guard, but Cleveland's looking for defense. Batum gives you defense. Batum also gives you that nice option at the wing. When LeBron is on the bench, he can find his own shot. He can pass. He can rebound. He can play defense. He's sort of like, LeBron-esque in regards to the all-around player that's still on the court. You won't miss out as much with LeBron on the bench if Batum is in. And of course, Kemba Walker, which is like the off-brand version of Kyrie Irving. No disrespect to Kemba. Kemba's good. Chicago, this is a very interesting deal, because I'm looking at Dwayne Wade in this deal. Now, of course, everybody talking about the the banana boat. Hey, there's gonna be some serious. Everybody's gonna be looking at it. Hey, maybe the banana boat crew, but Dwayne Wade comes back, reunites with LeBron in this deal. Chicago will also give up a first round pick, but it's gonna be protected. Of course, Kyrie and Richard Jefferson goes to Chicago. Now, in these deals, you're going to see a lot of Richard Jefferson and a lot of Channing Frye just to make the money work. Yeah, so no significance with Richard Jefferson or Channing Frye, but they just to make the money work. Detroit, I think this will be actually a good deal right here. Reggie Jackson and Stanley Johnson for Kyrie Irving. Who does not want to make that deal? Look at both sides. Who doesn't want to make that deal? Thank you. Indiana. This is also very interesting. Thaddeus Young, Big Al Jefferson, and 2 first-round picks for Kyrie Irving and Channing Frye. Now, people ask me, why? That's stupid. Why don't you just throw Miles Turner in there? All right, here's why I would want Thaddeus Young in there. Defense, productivity, like he's the all-around guy. He's that gritty guy. And Big Al Jefferson, the one thing I want for Cleveland is like a true center, a bruiser, gets the job done. And then, of course, the 2 first-round picks. You know, hey, Cleveland doesn't have first-round picks, so these will be very valuable in the future. For Kyrie Irving, Channing Frye, I'll do the deal. Miami, which is one of his destinations, and I think the best deal out of here. Of course, people are saying Justice Winslow. Throw Justice Winslow in there. But for me, I think Goran Dragic, which is the obvious pick, Goran Dragic and Josh Richardson. I think defensively, you get that 3-and-D guy. Justice Winslow, he plays great defense, and I know Nisha Darius is going to kill me for this. Like, Josh Richardson, he is that guy I feel like when he's on a team with LeBron, he could probably play a little bit like more aggressive. Like, I feel like he play a little bit more aggressive, and you know, his shot would be a lot more consistent. He wasn't as consistent last year. I feel like, you know, go to Cleveland. You know, you play with LeBron, whether it's 1 year or whatever. You know, I think he can be that guy, and of course that's going to shoot Shump out the door because there's no longer need to have Shump there unless, you know, if you don't re-sign him because Josh Richardson is on an expiring contract. He will probably take that pay cut to play with LeBron. You never know. Milwaukee, I think this trade could go down. I really do. Chris Middleton and Greg Monroe for Tristan and Kyrie. Who doesn't want to do this deal? Chris Middleton, a 3-and-D guy. You got an expiring contract with Greg Monroe. Everybody wins. We don't know how much Greg Monroe is going to want. Boom, you got Tristan Thompson. You got him under control for a couple more years. On Cleveland side, you get a 3-and-D guy. You get an expiring contract. Who does not win in this? Who doesn't win? Who doesn't win in this deal? Well, probably Cleveland because they don't have a point guard. But they got Derrick Rose. And they got Jose Calderon. All right, New York. Some people are going to get mad at me for this, but listen to me. Listen to me when I say this. I'm so serious when I say this. You got Frank Ntilikina, Frank Ntilikina, and Joakim Noah. Yes, I said it. Joakim Noah. And 3 first-round picks. Now, of course, the first round. Now, the point of you taking Joakim Noah is to pry away the 3 first-round picks. I think it would be a smart move. Yes, you can't afford to have this motherfucker on your roster taking up $17 million in room. But think about it. 3 first-round picks. At least 3 first-round picks. You might get 4 just for the fact that you have, you know what I'm saying? Think about it. Now, some people are like, okay, what if the French kid doesn't turn out to be anything? Now you just basically just banking on the 3 first-round picks. Yeah, I know. And that's why I'm doing this. Some of these are very impossible. Some of this shit can get you fired. But hey, that's why it's fun, right? Orlando. My boy Nikola Vucevic and Aaron Gordon. And then you throw a first-round pick in there. Like I said before, you get a true center. You get a bruiser. Vucevic is that guy. And also, you have Aaron Gordon. You get Flash. You get the guy that you put Aaron Gordon right next to LeBron James. Aaron Gordon, his game is going to evolve. His game is going to evolve so much playing with LeBron. And I think that is a damn good deal. That is a damn good deal. And if they want to throw in Elfrid Payton, hey, you get another defensive point guard who will also probably, hey, I know he's going to be restricted free agent next year, Aaron Gordon, but, you get his bird right so you can re-sign him. Hey, I think it's a good deal. Philadelphia, which is probably one of the most unlikeliest deals, but it's good to explore. Markelle Fultz and Jahlil Okafor for Kyrie Irving. Now, of course, the black sheep in this deal is Jahlil Okafor. It seems like nobody wants him. I mean, people want him, but, he's like a blah-blah type of player. But Markelle Fultz is easily the draw in this deal. Philly, you got to ask yourself, okay, we have Ben Simmons. Add Kyrie Irving to that mix, we know what we have. Markelle Fultz, yeah, we see it, but, he's not Kyrie. And, of course, Jahlil Okafor, you got a terrible backlog at center. Of course, you let go of Nerlens Noel, and Jahlil Okafor obviously is not happy over there, so you get rid of that. I think it's a potentially good deal, but, of course, they are in love with Markelle Fultz, so I don't really see this happening, but it's fun to explore that. Toronto, which is, I looked at this team and I really couldn't find one, but, like I said, Cleveland needs a true big power guy, good big center. So, of course, I put Jonas Valanciunas and 3 first-round picks. They need a true big man down there. And, of course, the game is evolving to where, these big men need to be like Rudy Gobert and be able to move around and, be athletic. But when it comes to wearing down a team, wearing down the other team's big man, I think it's great to have a guy like him. And you get Jonas Valanciunas, because I think that's how I pronounce it, Valanciunas, and get 3 first-round picks. Yes, Kyle Lowry is there, but I think Kyle Lowry is the type that I defer. He's also a slightly better shooter than Kyrie, like in the clutch or mid-range or, hey, except for the playoffs. Lowry, do not shoot in the playoffs because that's not your shit. And finally, the Washington Wizards, and this will probably go under the hell now list. They ain't trading John Wall. Now, of course, on a few of these trades, they ain't trading. The people I got on here, they probably won't trade, but this is probably like a no-brainer. They ain't trading John Wall. So, Bradley Beal. They're going to trade Bradley Beal for Kyrie Irving. This looks like a better end of the deal, And Bradley Beal will go to Cleveland. He knows how to, he already been in that situation before, so that being the Robin to Batman is comfortable for him. Much better shooter than Kyrie. And, like I said, he's a great second option. He's been there. He's comfortable with it. Now, how does Kyrie go in Washington and go in there? I know Roy and James are going to be like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? That's not going to happen. When I look at this Wizards, that's probably the most likely thing to happen. All right, so that's the Eastern Conference. Coming up after this, we're going to jump to the West. I know these trades are horrible, but hey, it's fun to explore. You are listening to the Chris Rocket Podcast.
Man, I dig inner monologues. Hello. Oh, look, a fillet of fish just sitting here in my mind being all delicious. Hey!
That's my sandwich.
What? How did you get in my inner monologue?
Door was open. Give it back.
Man, get your own invisible sandwich.
Any day is a great day for a Filet-O-Fish sandwich. And right now at McDonald's, you can get 2 Filet-O-Fish sandwiches for only $3.33. For limited time only, prices and participation may vary.
Y'all tired of eating that barbecue from up the street? Where to give you more sauce than to give you meat? Well, bring your big ass down to Bruh's Barbecue, 15837 South Crenshaw Boulevard. That's right off Manchester. Bruh's Barbecue tastes so good, make you want to slap your mama. Don't it, Willie?
Yeah, boy. Hey, mama.
What the hell you want with?
Ain't but one location, so it's near as you.
Welcome back. I never realized how hot it is outside, man. Like, it is like super hot, man. 105 degrees, man. That's that Texas shit for you right there, man. Like frying eggs on top of cars and shit, man. But anyway, all right, to the Wild Wild West. If Kyrie ends up getting traded to a Western Conference team, we might as well just up the All-Star. We might as well have an All-Star game for the team, for the people who ain't made it to the All-Star game. Because that's really about to happen. Starting with Dallas in a trade that I think is pretty damn interesting. And it's pretty damn interesting. Dennis Smith Jr. and Wes Matthews for Kyrie Irving. Who wouldn't do that deal? Hell, I think Dallas would do that deal. I really think Dallas would do that deal. Of course, you can't trade Dennis Smith until August 4th, but Cleveland gets a 3-and-D guy. They get Dennis Smith, a very young, very, very athletic point guard. It's something you might just be like, make it think about it. Denver, this is a very interesting trade. Kenny Fareed, Nikola Jokic, Emmanuel Mudiay for Kyrie Irving. Of course, the prize in this whole deal is Nikola Jokic. They've been trying to move Kenny Fareed for the last couple years now. Kenny Fareed allows you to move Tristan Thompson in a separate deal. Of course, Emmanuel Mudiay, you give up point guard, you retain the point guard. I think coming off the bench, he's a very good option. Because right now you got Calderon. Of course, Denver is going to want to keep. They want to hold on to Jokic, but man, Kyrie, it makes you want to really think about it. I don't think they pull the trigger, but it's fun to think about it. Next, Golden State. Now this will be the bitch of all bitch trades right here. This would be like, you're dealing with the enemy here. But if you were to make a deal with the enemy, this is something to think about it. They're not giving away Steph Curry. They're not giving away Durant. And that would be the bitch move of all bitch moves. You know what I'm saying? So, Klay Thompson for Kyrie Irving. That would be very interesting. Of course, you might throw in Jordan McRae up in there just so you can have a little depth at the point guard position. But like Klay for Kyrie, without all the bullshit, just cut all the bullshit aside. Klay for Kyrie, you will actually do it. Some people would think about it. At least think about it. Houston, Chris Paul for Kyrie and Channing Frye. Of course, Channing Frye makes the money work. The Banana Boat crew is getting together. That's going to be started. And a lot of people were saying, Chris Paul, he loves playing with, LeBron. They're good friends. And to be honest, man, if all this shit was, because people talk through the back channels, I'm pretty sure this was probably seriously expressed, because we remember Kyrie was talking about this way before Butler got traded. And come to think about it, he was talking about this after the championship game. So I won't be surprised if Chris Paul wasn't explored when he was with the Clippers, obviously. I wouldn't be surprised that swap was explored. But it's fun to think about. Speaking of the devil, the Clippers. Here's what I think will be a good trade. DeAndre Jordan, Patrick Beverley for Kyrie Irving. And of course, Channing Frye makes the money work. You get your defensive big man, and you got a guy, DeAndre Jordan. I feel like he's just not happy with the way things are going. He's seeing where the team is going. It's a glorified rebuild. And of course you're like, dang, but they got Blake Griffin, they got Gallinari. You lose. As much as people want to say Chris Paul was ball dominant, but and I know they got Juwan Evans, who was a very capable guy and plays sort of like Chris Paul, but when you trade a guy like Chris Paul, that sends a signal everywhere else. That sends a signal everywhere. And I know he wasn't coming people want to get out of there. Of course, DeAndre ain't gonna say nothing because he's under contract. But you trade the reason why he came back. He could have signed with Dallas. So going to Cleveland, and he will actually feel wanted. He probably will feel a little bit more wanted in Cleveland. Never know. The Lakers. Another one of these deals where you got to understand where I'm coming from. Just like the New York Knicks deal. You get the contract of Luol Deng. You get him for defensive purposes. You get Jordan Clarkson, who is a combo guard. And you get 2 or 3 draft picks for Kyrie Irving and Channing Frye. The draft picks are going to be very high. Probably top 10 because they're not going to do much of anything next year. I say probably at the highest, the 10th seed. Probably a few games out of the playoffs. You get you really good picks, decent picks, instead of having picks in the 20s every year. I say do it. I say do it. And, of course, I couldn't find shit else on the Lakers to do. Of course, they're not going to give Lonzo Ball. I mean, they just wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to throw Lonzo Ball in this deal because, no. Memphis. Mike Conley. Mike Conley for Kyrie Irving and the Make the Money Fit crew. Richard Jefferson and Channing Frye, they're going to be the Make the Money Fit crew because I'm going to be saying their name a lot. So, of course, you see it right there. I ain't got to say their names. Make the Money Fit. Memphis is obviously going to be in a rebuild mode in a few years. Zebo is gone. Tony Allen, is getting older. Vince Carter's gone. Chandler Parsons is injured. They want to move him so bad. The grindhouse is pretty much over out there. So Mike Conley will give them great cap relief. Channing Frye is an expiring contract. Richard Jefferson on an expiring contract. They want to wipe their hands clean. Build around Kyrie. And with that young squad, they got some young big men out there. I feel like the Memphis Grizzlies is, they still got Gasol. So the writing's on the wall. Trade away Mike Conley, bring back Kyrie. And then, of course, for Cleveland, you get Mike Conley, a very smart point guard who just stays within himself. Pass first, plays defense. Minnesota, one of his destinations. The most likely trade, because he wants to go there because of Jimmy Butler. I see Jeff Teague and 1 or 2 first-round picks. I got 1 because it's most likely. Simple as that. Point guard for a point guard. Wipe your hands clean type of trade. Nothing more here. New Orleans, straight up trade between him and Boogie Cousins. Who wouldn't want to do that? Everybody wins on both sides. Everybody wins. Boogie on expiring contract. Now, of course, Drew Holiday re-upped for New Orleans, so that'll be kind of, interesting. But you get, and then Rondo went over there, so that it'd be a backlog at the point guard spot. So who knows how that will work? But the best deal I found for New Orleans Pelicans is a straight up deal between DeMarcus Cousins and Kyrie Irving. Oklahoma City. This deal is never going to happen, but it's just fun to explore. Paul George for Kyrie Irving. Now, of course, the dynamic of Russell Westbrook and Kyrie Irving is, this is not going to happen. But think about it. If Kyrie just said, you know what? If there was ever a guy I would want to play with, it'd be Russell Westbrook. Just think of that dynamic for a second. And then you got Paul George and LeBron on the other side. By the way, this is not going to happen, but just think about it hypothetically speaking. Because Oklahoma City is not going to trade Russell Westbrook. You feel me? It's fun to think about. Phoenix, the team that's been rumored to be in a 3-way trade for Kyrie anyway. This is who they'll give up. Bledsoe, TJ Warren, and probably a first round pick. They probably, in real life, they're probably not going to give a first round pick. They'll probably be the one getting the first round pick. Because in the 3-team deal, you know, everybody's going to give them assets. They're probably going to give them expiring contracts and picks. But if they're doing it straight up, Bledsoe, Warren, and a first round pick, I think that's a good deal for Kyrie. I think that's a good deal. I really do. Portland, Damian Lillard. Yes, I said it. Damian Lillard for Kyrie, and to make the money fit person, that's Channing Frye. Now you tell me who wouldn't do this deal. Of course, Portland wouldn't do this deal because Damian Lillard's their franchise guy. But you're pretty much getting kind of sort of the same guy. Think about it. You're kind of sort of getting the same guy. You get a scoring point guard who passes every now and then. Now you tell me how different they are. Yeah, you pull up numbers and who shoots better and what. They're not that different to me. Interesting, right? Sacramento. This is a trade that's basically off potential, so it probably won't. So clearly Sacramento's gonna win in this deal, but it's nice to think about it. De'Aaron Fox and Zach Randolph and 1 or 2 first round picks for Kyrie Irving. Now, of course, you're banking on the fact that De'Aaron Fox is gonna be good as shit. But the reason why I threw Z-Bo in here is because you need that toughness down low. You need a banger. You need a banger at the big man position. Tristan Thompson, you've been hanging around Khloe Kardashian too much. You're getting soft. Yo, Zach Randolph, he gets the job done. He's like Udonis Haslem when in the Miami Heat. Like, people rat on his size, but he gets the job done. He bangs. You know, you get a guy that bangs down there, hard nose, gets rebounds no matter what. You put Z-Bo on Cleveland, yo, can't nobody out-rebound them. They won't rebound them. And, of course, Sacramento, they get, you know, they're rebuilding over there. They got nice pieces over there. So you put him with Cauley Stein. I think Vince Carter signed over there. Hey, they got a pretty nice little running team over there. The Spurs. I really looked at this trade right here, and I tried not to laugh at myself because I almost threw Tony Parker in here, but I'm like, nah, they're not gonna put Tony Parker in there, and the Cleveland's not gonna want Tony Parker. So I'm like, Patty Mills, LaMarcus Aldridge, Danny Green for Kevin Love, Kyrie, and to make the money fit. It's not terribly bad. It's not terrible. It's understandable. I guess I put it like that. It's understandable. Obviously, Kevin Love and LA, they cancel each other out. You know, you get a stretch four who can kind of sort of rebound. I felt like Kevin Love was kind of timid around, you know, LeBron. LaMarcus Aldridge, he can't rebound anyway, so he won't be in the way. He always likes to hang around the baseline. He's a better post scorer than Kevin Love. Kevin Love is a little bit more stronger, but LaMarcus Aldridge has a better mid-range touch. Of course, Patty Mills is excellent off the bench. Excellent. You know, they couldn't get any production in Cleveland off their point guard from off the bench. You know, Darren Williams, I'm sorry, you might want to just go overseas and just regroup. And, of course, Danny Green, he's doing what Shumpert should be doing, playing defense. And if you really look at this, deal, it's really not all that bad. It's not as bad as you think it is. San Antonio, they get a rebounder. They get a true rebounder. They get a true grinded out guy. I think Kevin Love, Popovich will unleash him, let him do what he do instead of him playing like a robot in Cleveland. And I think it'll work. Kyrie Irving, of course, he played under Mike Krzyzewski, and boom, he played with Mike Popovich for Team USA. I think it'll work. And finally, the Utah Jazz, Ricky Rubio, Rodney Hood, and some first-round picks. Ricky Rubio, you know, LeBron likes Ricky Rubio. LeBron loves him. And, just to play with a guy who will find you no matter what, it makes his job easier. It makes LeBron's jobs a lot easier to have that guy who has the same kind of set of eyes as he do when in regards to seeing who's open. It makes his job easier. LeBron he can just actually, sit in the post, or he can camp out the 3-point line. And of course, Ricky Rubio plays defense. People don't know Ricky Rubio can play some defense. His on-ball defense is pretty decent, man. All right, so those are the trades from the East and the West. Some of them are very laughable, I know, but some of them you kind of think about. Some of them can go down. But if I had a gun in my head, I think he's going to New York. But I think Melo wants to go to Houston, so who knows, man? But it's fun to think about. Coming up next, we're going to dive in some NFL. You are listening to the Chris Rocket Podcast.
As a man, you know what it's like to break your back on a daily basis. Introducing new Bud Silver, the beer for hard-working men. It's just what you need after a day of assembling flat-pack furniture, when instructions are cast aside in favor of intuition. Working with one eye on the job and another on the TV. A day when you're told it looks a bit wonky at least 40 times. Hard-working men want a fuller-tasting, thirst-quenching beer. New Bud Silver. One cold can of You Bet I Earned It.
Hello?
Hello, sir. I hear you having problems putting together your new kitchen unit.
Oh, yeah, the instructions say...
What now?
The instruction manual. It makes absolute...
Stop reading that.
Well, what would you suggest I use?
I suggest you use the fact you're a man. Huh? Guys who got pride never relied on no guide, sucker. I'll give you some step-by-step instructions. Buy Snickers, remove wrapper, bite chocolate, and get some nuts.
Go to GetSomeNuts.tv for more Snickers man coaching.
Well, it's that time of year again, man. The NFL is here. Training camp is underway. Everybody's reported. Time for some predictions and questions. Let's start with the North Divisions.
Baltimore Ravens.
Right now, Flacco is sidelined 3 to 6 weeks with a back injury, so there's questions about that. They get Jeremy Maclin, which creates the speed demons at wide receiver. They have so much speed. You got Maclin, you got Wallace, you got Brashad Perriman. Finally healthy. The wide receivers are looking nice, but my interesting position battle has to be on that defensive line. You draft Chris Wormley, and you also draft Tyus Bowser. Do they step up, or do they stay backups? Those are my questions.
Cincinnati Bengals.
This team took a big step back last year, only 6 wins. They drafted John Ross at wide receiver, but that's not the problem. The problem was the running game. You drafted Joe Mixon, but do you stick with what you have with Giovanni Bernard and Jeremy Hill, or do you go in another direction with Joe Mixon? Right now, Jeremy Hill is the number 1 running back, but we'll see throughout camp.
Cleveland Browns.
There's no secret that the Cleveland Browns was horrible last year, only going 1-15, but they did a damn good job in the draft by shoring up their defense a little bit with Myles Garrett and Jabril Peppers. Also, offensively, they bring in Brock Osweiler and they draft David Njoku to replace Gary Barnidge. My position battle that I'm looking for is, where the hell do you put Jabril Peppers? Right now, they list him as a weak safety, which is pretty much like a cornerback safety hybrid, which I feel like that's correct. But, okay, so when you play in the game, where do you actually put him? That's my question for the Cleveland Browns.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'm going to go off my boy, Pittsburgh insider Joe Killmeyer. Questions about the secondary. Le'Veon Bell, would that situation get handled? And pretty much the great story that is called James Conner, man. Really great story. But my position battle that I'm looking at, it has to be the third wide receiver, Eli Rogers or Smith-Schuster. Will the rookie overtake Eli, who's already been there? Right now, the leader seems to be Eli Rogers, but that's going to be an interesting battle.
Chicago Bears.
With the departure of Alshon Jeffrey, what is this offense going to look like? How is it going to be run? The running game looks pretty fine. Jordan Howard had a 1,000-yard season. You lose Alshon Jeffrey, but the question is at quarterback, and that's also my position battle that's going to be interesting. Do you go with the guy that you paid, or you go to your guy that you drafted?
Detroit Lions.
Coming off a playoff year at 9-7, the question is really pretty much the defense. My interesting position battle, like the slot corner position. You get DJ Hayden in the offseason, but you also drafted Tease Tabor. Who's going to get that spot? Right now, the leader seems to be DJ Hayden, but maybe the rookie will step up.
Green Bay Packers.
You get Marty B in the offseason, so your tight end has improved. The question is, okay, who's your running back? Do you keep Ty Montgomery there, or do you let the rookie Jamal Williams take over that spot and move Montgomery back to his natural position at wide receiver? That's my question. The position battle right there, running back.
Minnesota Vikings.
A team that started 5-0, you never would have realized that, don't you? But you lose Adrian Peterson, but you draft Dalvin Cook. How is that offense is going to look? Can Laquan Treadwell finally get on the field and produce? My position battle is definitely have to be the running back position. You sign Latavius Murray and you draft Dalvin Cook. How does that shape out? You're good either way.
Houston Texans.
Everybody's looking at the offensive side of the ball. You got you drafted Deshaun Watson out of Clemson. Everybody's looking at the offensive side of the ball. Don't worry about that. On the defensive side of the ball is where I got questions at. At the defensive tackle spot, you draft Carlos Watkins. Does he take over that nose tackle position, that 3-4 defense? You have the defensive ends, but who is going to lock down that nose tackle position? Carlos Watkins or DJ Reader? We shall see.
Indianapolis Colts.
Colts went 8-8 in the division. That 9-7 won the division. 30th ranked defense. What do? Draft defense. You get Terrell Basham, the linebacker, which brings me to my question in camp, that linebacker spot. Does he jump over Corey Simon for that outside linebacker spot?
Jacksonville Jaguars.
Another team that people picked coming in the year last year, you get Jalen Ramsey. Oh, man, they're going to come up. But now you get Calais Campbell. Now people really going to be looking at you. But what people really need to be looking at is the running game. 22nd ranked offense. What do? You go draft Leonard Fournette, which is my question coming into camp, the running back position. How good is it? How good really is it going to be this year?
Tennessee Titans.
It seems that a lot of people pick coming out this division. You have the 3rd ranked running game. Yes, that's great. But you have a 25th ranked passing game. Well, that's because you can run a lot. That'll be true if you only threw 8 passing touchdowns all season. So what do? You drafted Corey Davis, which brings me to my questions for camp. That wide receiver spot, does Corey Davis solidify the number 2 spot or the number 1 spot? Because you have Eric Decker there, you have Rashard Matthews. Also, the cornerback spot, you draft Adoree Jackson. Does he take over that slot spot or does he go to the number 2? Those are my questions for the Tennessee Titans.
Atlanta Falcons.
Coming off the NFC Championship and a Super Bowl appearance, the Atlanta Falcons, their defense is improving. They drafted very good in the draft. Now the position battle that I'm looking at is defensive end. You draft Takk McKinley. Will he take that spot over Brooks Reed? That's my question.
Carolina Panthers.
14 with so many weapons on offense, they really had a tough time really scoring points last year. So they draft Christian McCaffrey to kind of get him an extra weapon coming out of the backfield. But my question would be at the wide receiver spot. You draft Curtis Samuel. Devin Funchess is a big wide receiver. They got him for the red zone, but he's not living up to the hype. So will Curtis Samuel take over that spot, or will he just stay pat as the deep threat as left vacated by Ted Ginn Jr.?
New Orleans Saints.
You let go of Brandon Cooks, which pretty much means you're high on Mike Thomas and Willie Snead. You bring in Adrian Peterson. But my question is on the defensive end of the ball. At the cornerback spot, you draft Marshawn Lattimore. Does he become the number 1 cornerback? You have Delvin Breaux. You got P.J. Williams. Who comes out as the number 1 cornerback? Is he going to start or is he going to be a slot corner? We shall see.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
This is a team that everybody's been like, they got it. And they finally upgraded immensely on offense, bringing in Deshaun Jackson and drafted O.J. Howard, which brings to my battle for the camp this year, the tight end position. You have Cameron Brate, who did pretty good after coming in for the injured Safarian Jenkins, but you also have O.J. Howard, who everybody's very high on. Who comes out as the number 1 guy at that position?
Denver Broncos.
A team that pretty much just played musical chairs at the running back position. You bring in Jamal Charles to kind of add a little depth to that position, but man, an injury to Devontae Booker. So my question going into camp, two positions, the running back position. What Jamal Charles are you going to get, and will he take over the first running back spot over C.J. Anderson? And also at left tackle, who's going to protect the blind side of Trevor Siemian? Is it Garrett Bowles, who they drafted, or is it going to be Ty Sombrero?
Kansas City Chiefs.
A team that lost a couple of his main guys on both sides of the ball. On the offense, you had Jeremy Maclin. He's gone. Defense, you have Dontari Poe. He's gone to Atlanta. So now you have two positions up for grabs. Defensive tackle. Who comes out of defensive tackle? And my position to look at are three positions. The running back position, you have no Jamal Charles. So who is going to come on top on that position? On the defensive end, is just a clusterfuck right there. And then on the wide receiver spot, Chris Conley, is he going to take that second spot?
Oakland Raiders.
Coming off a very impressive season and just unfortunate injuries at the wrong time. You know, you look at that team, a lot of potential, and Khalil Mack is obviously the star of that defense. But what people don't know, that defense was ranked number 26 and number 24 against the pass. So enter Garion Conley, which is my question coming into camp. Is he going to take over that nickelback spot and the spot they desperately need to shore up on that secondary?
Los Angeles Chargers.
It's going to take me a while to get used to saying Los Angeles Chargers. But the question going into camp is the wide receiver spot. You have Keenan Allen, who really can't just seem to stay healthy. So you drafted Mike Williams. Is he going to come in and be that guy? Is he going to be the number three wide receiver, or Dontre Inman is going to continue to play well?
Arizona Cardinals.
Even though it had injuries on that offense, the offense should be fine. But you lose Calais Campbell at the nose tackle spot. Who's going to step up at that nose tackle spot? And also at the Sam linebacker spot, Hassan Reddick and Carlos Dansby. Who comes out on top at that position?
Los Angeles Rams.
A team that's always frustrating because we always look at the defense. The front seven always carries the whole team. You have a top 10 defense, but you have a second worst offense. What do? You go get Robert Woods at wide receiver, and you go get Lance Dunbar. And those are the questions for me heading into Rams camp. Who comes out that number 2 wide receiver, because you lost Brian Quick? And at the running back position, who is going to be the spell running back or the receiving running back behind Todd Gurley?
San Francisco 49ers.
The offense is what it is. You go get Brian Hoyer. You go get Pierre Garçon. So the offense, it is what it is. But the question would be, on the defensive side, you drafted Reuben Foster. Is he going to take over that linebacker spot over Malcolm Smith?
Seattle Seahawks.
You go out and you get Eddie Lacy for that offense, but my focus would be on the defensive end. You draft Malik McDowell. Does he take over that spot over Atabi Reuben at that defensive tackle spot?
Buffalo Bills.
A team that's very, very odd. Very, very odd, the Buffalo Bills. But my questions going into camp is the number 2 spots for 2 different positions. The number 2 wide receiver, you bring in Zay Jones. How would he handle that spot? And also the number 2 cornerback spot, you have Ronald Darby, but you also have Tre'Davious White. Can he handle that position? Those are my questions.
Miami Dolphins.
People saw the potential. They finally saw the potential out of Miami Dolphins. So now the question going into camp, a running game that was very, very good last year. Now let's see about the spell running back position between Damian Williams and Kenyon Drake. Who will be the backup running back right behind Jay Ajayi? And also on the defensive end, who will play on the other side of Cameron Wake? You drafted Charles Harris. Does he do enough to get that spot? We shall see.
New England Patriots.
I never thought I'd say this about a Super Bowl winning team. They upgraded on both sides of the ball, kind of slightly on offense because you lose LeGarrette Blount on offense, but you kind of get a little bit better. You got a lot more depth at that running back spot, where behind LeGarrette Blount, you pretty much was like wiped out almost. But the running back position battle, that's the question for me. Dion Lewis and James White, who I thought should have been the Super Bowl MVP. That's the question for me heading into the Patriots camp.
New York Jets.
When all teams are getting out the basement, you have a team like the Jets that's pretty much like, fuck it, let's just set up shop in the basement and make a man cave out of it. You bring in Mo Claiborne on that defense, but my question is on the offensive end, the tight end positions. You have Jordan Leggett, but you also have Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Who comes out on top on that? And also, for the wide receiver spot, who is the number 2 wide receiver? You have a Darius Stewart, who I feel like is a really good receiver with hands. Does he get that number 2 or that number 3 wide receiver? Who comes in that number 2 slot for the wide receivers? And also at the tight end position,
Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys enjoyed their success off their 2 rookies, Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, but there might be a suspension looming for Elliott. Maybe, maybe not. But the big question is on the defensive side of the ball. The defensive line, how is this going to look? And my position battle that's going to be interesting, that cornerback spot, Jordan Lewis, Cheeto Woozy. Who's going to be second cornerback? Slot cornerback is Orlando Scandrick. Do you put one of those at safety? Do you leave them both at corner? Those are my questions for the Dallas Cowboys.
New York Giants.
The Giants' passing game was very dangerous last year, and it got even more dangerous this year. But the drafting of Evan Ingram at tight end and bringing in Brandon Marshall at wide receiver. But the question of going into camp will be the running game. Will Paul Perkins stay at the number 1 running back spot? And also the position battle that I'm looking at is the right tackle spot, which is usually the best run blocker. You have DJ Fluker, who they brought in, and you have Bobby Hart. Who wins that battle?
Philadelphia Eagles.
Another NFC East team that has upgraded on offense, bringing in LeGarrette Blount. You also upgraded at the wide receiver spot, which brings me to my question. Who would take that number 2 wide receiver spot? Because obviously Alshon Jeffrey takes the first spot. Who would come out of that number 2 spot? You have Jordan Matthews, who played very well the last couple years. And you also have Torrey Smith, who has always been a very solid number 2 wide receiver. So the question would be, who's going to come off that number 2 wide receiver spot?
Washington Redskins.
Refer to the Washington insider, James Rogers. He wants to know who will show up and play. Will the Kirk Cousins situation be rectified? Defensive line, you drafted Jonathan Allen. Is that enough to improve the defensive line? And what about the receivers? How they're going to look? You lose 2 of your best weapons last year. Terrell Pryor, is that enough? But my position battle going into camp will be the running back spot. Rob Kelly or Samaj Piran. How is that going to shape up? And you also got Chris Thompson in the mix. So who's going to come out on top in that position? So there you have it. Position battles and questions for all 32 teams. And I want to make one point in regards to the San Diego. I told you it's going to take me a while to get it right. The Los Angeles Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams has been put on the PUP list. So as of right now, that third wide receiver might end up being Dontrell Inman. But that's all we got for today. I'd like to appreciate everybody for listening. Really taking the time out to listen, man. Hey, all I need is one person, man, and hey, that's all I need. I love doing this, and could you believe the first preseason game for the NFL is next Thursday? So that's what we're gonna be talking about first thing when we come back next Saturday or Sunday. First preseason game, I think this is the Dallas Cowboys versus the Arizona Cardinals. That should be very interesting. It should be very fun. Of course, we've been all deprived of football, so we all gonna be watching it. But see you guys next time, and thank you for listening to the Chris Rocket Podcast.